Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Thursday late morning. Wulf, Zach Berman here. Lots to talk about. We haven't talked since Tuesday, so we've got injury news. We've got some Julio Jones news. We've got plenty to talk about as the Eagles prepare for this game against the jilted X and Vic Fangio, the man who could have been the defensive coordinator. We've got the Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa story that Jalen Hurts wants no part of talking about. We've got another draft coming up, Zach, between you and me as we split up these Eagles and Dolphins rosters, a game that I think is maybe the most exciting game on the schedule to date for the Eagles. How are you?
Doing well. Excited for the show. Full energy, enthusiasm.
As always.
I said to Bo before we started, I said, you excited? You enthusiastic? And he looked at me like, Zach, chill out.
We've both got our own processes.
Yes.
Before the show, Zach's like beating his chest. He's like, all right, let's have a good show, everybody. He's running around the studio, slapping hands. He's doing John Henderson, slapping himself in the face. I'm trying to look at the things that I need to think about, the rundown. I'm trying to figure things out. We've got our different processes. I'm sorry that I'm not pounding chests with you.
Much different approach. But yeah, excited for the show. Missed you yesterday. Energized today by an outstanding story from Bo Wulf on allphly.com. Check that out. The Wolf's Den is back. It was in hibernation for a bit, but it is back, and excited to see it.
We can read that on allphly.com, as well as Zach's story from late yesterday with plenty of news roundup stuff because the Eagles have a lot going on this week. And so why don't we start with that, Zach, especially on the injury front, because something that's not really been on our radar, DeVonta Smith. Now, yesterday was a walkthrough, but would not have practiced. What's the news there?
Yeah, so I'm glad you said it was a walkthrough, and that makes today very important. The Eagles will practice in a few hours. We'll have all the updates from there. But DeVonta Smith showed up on the report with a hamstring injury. Now, it was an approximation. So had they practiced, he would not have participated.
Not the kind of thing that heals quickly, right?
For a wide receiver, that can be concerning, a hamstring. So we'll see his status today.
Do you think that this was a factor in the signing of Julio Jones?
I don't think it was an apples for apples thing, but certainly the timing sticks out in that regard. Now, Julio Jones, we'll get to that. That might take a little bit of time in terms of getting him caught up. Today's his first practice with the team. He was out there for walkthrough yesterday. But the DeVonta injury, hamstrings can linger for wide receivers. If he's not out there today, that would be concerning for me. So
I wonder if it was a factor in him having a kind of a poor game for his standards against the Jets.
I don't think he'll use that excuse, but it is worth wondering.
Okay.
Now, also,
especially, I'm thinking about that one play, not even the drops, but the play when he's coming out of the backfield and it's like he's one-on-one matched up with a linebacker. I think it was C.J. Mosley, and he it should be, the play is perfectly designed for him to separate, and he barely gets separation. He ends up catching the ball on a nice throw from Jalen Hurts, but maybe he was missing a step a little bit.
It's a good observation. Yeah, I can't speak for him there, but it is worth wondering now that when you don't practice because of a hamstring, it stands out.
Sure. Who else is on there?
Also not practicing, Reed Blankenship had a ribs injury. We knew he had
condolences to your son.
Yeah, we knew he had a ribs injury. The Eagles need him this week. We'll get to that. We'll have a lot of discussion about the secondary against these Miami wide receivers. Lane Johnson, ankle injury. I asked Nick Sirianni about it yesterday. Lane would not have practiced. He's pushing to play. We heard what Brian Baldinger said on the PHLY Eagles show on Tuesday, that Baldy, who's been in communication with Lane, thinks he's going to play. But it's not a definite. And I think there is some optimism there. I think Lane, like Nick said, Lane is pushing to play. Lane will do everything he can to play, but Nick wasn't ready to say anything yet. He said he might have more information on Friday. So I will ask him that tomorrow. Bradley Roby.
At which point he'll say, you just have to sit and watch the injury report.
Yeah, probably so.
We don't want to get into that.
Yeah. Bradley Roby, shoulder injury, did not practice. The Eagles made that move to add Josiah Scott. That became official. Mario Goodrich, who was waived, cleared waivers, added to the practice squad. So we'll get to that in a bit. Limited at practice. This is the good news for the Eagles. Jalen Carter and Darius Slay, both progressing. So did not practice last week, practicing They would have practiced yesterday. I think both are trending in the right direction. Dallas Goedert had a groin injury. We saw he was not on the field for the final play against the Jets. Milton Williams has an ankle injury. I spoke to Milton. I didn't speak to him about his ankle injury, but I wouldn't be worried about him at this point. The other good news is that Sidney
because
Brown,
you think that he would have just brought it up unprompted if it was something to be worried about.
No, he was getting ready to go to the walkthrough.
Okay.
So yeah. So he wasn't like getting he wasn't getting treatment
Okay,
at that
that's
point.
good. That's good insight. Slip that in there. That's
Yeah,
good.
Okay, thank you. I like that. I'm trying to improve. So feedback.
Okay.
I mean, I have a funny feedback anecdote that we'll get to when we do the draft. You'll be cracking up about it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna write on my paper here feedback anecdote.
Yes, and actually I texted you about it, so that's a little tease.
Okay.
Sidney Brown, hamstring, would have been a full participant in practice. Sidney's missed the past few games, so he's good. It looks like he's going to play.
Well, that's a big one.
That's a huge one.
Especially with Reed Blankenship, right? Like, if you had to throw your turkeys right now, what would you put at the possibility of both of them playing?
Right now, I think Sidney Brown, 100 turkeys.
Okay.
Blankenship, I would put that at like 40, 60. I did not speak to Reed yesterday. I saw him in the hallway. He was getting his smoothie at the smoothie bar.
Okay.
Couldn't tell.
Those are famously good for fixing ribs.
Maybe so. Have you ever had a ribs injury?
Not a serious one.
Okay.
No.
And an unserious one?
I mean, I might have gotten like hit in the ribs or something, but nothing that lingered.
Never had,
no.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Never had a hairline fracture or bruise.
No. Have you?
No, I'm curious. I hear
my wife did when she was in a car accident in high school.
Oh, God.
Broke some ribs. Tough, yeah.
I'm curious her thought. I hear those are excruciating.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I hear every time you breathe, you like feel it.
Yes.
Thanks for selling that one.
What's to sell? There's nothing to sell there.
You said yes. Eli Ricks, knee injury.
Oh, yeah, I bet that would be so difficult.
There you go. Be expressive.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Be a liar?
No, it would be difficult. It would be difficult to have a ribs injury.
But that would be that reaction from me would be a lie. I would be faking my personality.
Okay, fair enough. Eli Ricks, knee injury, would have been a full participant. Marlon Tuipulotu, triceps injury, would have been a full participant. So Marlon trending in the right direction.
So you think Carter will play?
I do think Jalen Carter will play, and I also think that Darius Slay will play. And the Eagles need Slay badly.
I would say so in this game. I mean, the safety picture is pretty dire. If Blankenship plays, that's one thing. I feel like they probably shouldn't push him to play because the thing about ribs injuries is they can be so painful, and to have to play through that would be difficult. Knowing that they have 2 more games before the bye, I think you want to sort of give him a rest. That's
great. That's the type of insight you could have added with the ribs injury before. Well done. I won't go through the whole Dolphins injury. I won't go through all the Dolphins injuries, but the one to watch there is Xavier Howard, who did not practice yesterday. He's their top corner. They do not have a particularly good second or particularly good corners. Let's say they don't have a set. We'll get to that during the draft. Their second corner,
Eli Apple, Cater Kahoo.
Exactly. It's not a distinguished group there. I think there's chances to take advantage of them there, but Howard's really good. So if he's not out there, that affects you.
Okay.
That's the injury report. Julio Jones, you mentioned him. He was there yesterday, and Julio Jones is one of these guys. You compared it to Ndamukong Suh last year. I think that's a good comparison. He's one of these guys who has a presence. Like, people know when he's in the room.
Now, people wanted me to follow up and get you to sort of clarify your Julio Jones take about him being like your favorite wide receiver you've ever seen or something like that. Can you like
I like that you're getting text about
double
this.
Down on or just explain to us
the
third
best
behind Randy Moss and
Calvin Johnson.
Okay, and this is just the best. Now this is from when you started covering the league or just your entire,
since I started covering the league.
Since you started covering the league. Okay. Better than Larry Fitzgerald.
Yes, and Larry Fitzgerald was really good. But yes,
Okay.
Julio was special. Larry Fitzgerald was special, but Julio's 2015 season was like historic. But
how much prime Randy Moss were you getting?
I wasn't getting a lot. I got the tail end. I actually had to cover Randy Moss's return, I believe, to Foxborough when he when he came back to Foxborough, covered that one for the Star Ledger. Covered a little bit of like the Patriots portion of Randy Moss. But I guess I'm just lumping Randy Moss in there because he's the best I've ever seen.
Okay.
I mean, Jerry Rice, obviously, but I was on the younger end of Jerry Rice's great years.
Sure.
But
what about T.O.?
I mean, T.O. was special. I've been doing a lot of T.O. research in the past year, and T.O. was special too. That 2004 season was incredible. But I would say that Julio Jones, when he was at his best, there were few players ever like him. So Julio Jones jumps out to me.
Okay.
And he jumps out to his teammates too. Good segue there.
Way to pat yourself on the back.
So I don't want to name names here, but a rookie on the team, okay, was like, man, Julio Jones. He's like, you guys waiting for Julio Jones? I said, yeah. And then and someone else said Julio, and it's like Julio Jones has a presence.
Was it Nolan Smith?
It wasn't Nolan Smith, no.
Yeah.
Julio Jones was wearing number 80 with the Eagles. He hasn't really been an 80 guy before. I associate him with 11. He's one of the guys who brought forth those numbers in the teens. Okay, or 2.
What about Devontae Adams?
No, I'll take Julio over Devontae Adams.
Okay.
You're really pushing back on this.
I'm just trying to clarify.
Are you not a Julio guy?
I'm not a Julio guy.
Were you like AJ Green in that draft? Were you team AJ Green?
I probably wouldn't have been team AJ Green because he missed so much time at Georgia, less production.
Julio Jones, as he pointed out yesterday, Alabama didn't really throw him the football. But you ask Alabama receivers, and he's considered like the GOAT of that crew.
Well, yeah, of course. He's one of the 3 best receivers you've ever seen in your life.
Yes, they have a lot of respect for Julio. So anyways, Julio is on the practice squad right now. I'd expect him to go to the 53. Nick Sirianni.
You think he will play on Sunday?
Yes, I think he's going to play on Sunday. This has been in conversation for a bit. Julio did not want to get into the timeline for how long he's been speaking to Howie Roseman, but the conversation started before this week. They saw him in person yesterday, or they saw him in person on Tuesday.
I actually remember being in the NovaCare complex for that draft, the Julio Jones draft.
This is good insight here.
And I remember the conversation that I remember from the Eagles side of things was they couldn't believe how much the Falcons gave up to move up for Julio Jones.
Well, I think Thomas Dimitroff is pretty proud of that trade, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I think that it's probably one of the things that he thinks he's underpaid for. Because Thomas Dimitroff has done a very good job of pounding the table for one of the great inequities of our time, and that is general managers don't get paid enough.
You have to really be a sicko to understand that reference.
He's got a podcast in which he talks. He interviews general managers, and every single episode, he's like, "Now, here's what I really want to talk to you about. How unfair is it that we don't get paid as much as the 3rd wide receiver?"
No, he talks about the head coaches.
I mean,
GMs are important.
Sure,
very important. Yeah. There's a market rate there, and I think that rate's going to keep going higher.
Yeah, let's all get some pickets, some signs, and let's march to City Hall and say, "Pay Howie more, pay Howie more."
You know what? I bet if Howie got a huge offer from somebody else, if he was a free agent and got a huge offer from somebody else, there would be pickets down there to pay Howie more.
I mean, I doubt it.
Eagles fans are pretty passionate.
I feel like
they keep us employed.
Yeah, that's fine, but yeah. I feel like if it got to that, Jeffrey would probably just pay him.
That's true.
First of all, I mean, to his credit, Jeffrey Lurie does pay his front office people and coaching staff more than most owners in the league. So I think that's actually legitimately a part of the reason why the Eagles have been so good for so long. But yeah, nobody's shedding tears over Howie not making a little bit more money.
Well, after I read your piece today, I thought I was going to pull up at 10th and Cowell Hill and see some diehards saying, "Pay Wulf more, pay Wulf more."
Okay, well, I mean, I'll take that.
Yeah, that was a good piece.
Patrick Johnson, great answer. Once we worked on it together, we sort of workshopped it, but I think that is the right answer. You beat Howie for a day and sign yourself to a big long-term deal.
I associated most with Britton Covey's answer.
I know you did.
Yes.
I think on 2 fronts.
Yes.
I'll let you explain it, but I feel like there were two parts of the answer that really did make me think of you.
When he talked about how his wife would have to get on her tippy toes to give him a kiss.
Yes, but really it was the height joke, but
Yes.
also the fact that as he was saying it, he was realizing, why am I saying this? This is going to be used against me. Like, I thought that was a very Zach Berman answer.
Well, Britton Covey and I can. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, because this was like a conversation, wasn't a recording or anything.
Okay.
But last year, Britton, he like made a reference like to my height, and he was talking about like he and I was like, what are you talking about? And like I tried to play it real straight, and I think he was like taken aback, like my offending him, and I was like, no, jumped on.
He didn't know you were a fan of comedy.
He didn't know I was a fan of comedy. Yeah, he didn't realize the comedic timing. Look at all these people talking about the Wolf's Den. I'm so happy the Wolf's Den was back. But yeah, so to get back to Julio Jones, Nick Sirianni talked about how Julio Jones is kind of like this receiver that you use in teach tape. How he coached against Julio and he saw him in person and was like, man, that's a guy. I'm glad I'm not coaching against him right now. I'm glad I'm not a defensive coach. Just the presence that he has. The Eagles thought that he showed some juice on tape last year with the Bucs. That can be up for debate, but I didn't think he was that bad with Tampa last year when I watched. So Julio, but Nick Sirianni mentioned that he's a Hall of Fame player who's going from being the highlight of an offense to kind of like a complementary role here. Nick emphasized, as we discussed, that it's going to be it's going to be A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Dallas Goedert as the top three. And Julio's not infringing on that. He also made sure to mention that Olamide Zaccheaus has a role in this offense. He said every offense he's been a part of, he's had success with guys who are tough and reliable. And that's what OZ is. I still think Julio is going to be above OZ. But anyways, I specifically asked Julio Jones how a potential Hall of Famer reframes his mind, reconfigures his mindset to go from being a top part of an offense to a complementary player. And he said, oh, no. My mindset is definitely to dominate.
What a good Julio Jones impression that is.
Don't get it twisted. I am here to dominate, but they have guys here who are already solidified. So wherever they need me to go and be, I'll do that to the best of my ability. Dave Zangaro, the great reporter from NBC Sports Philly, asked him how much he has left. And Julio pushed back. Have left? Just keep watching. Keep watching, and I'll show you. We'll revisit that question. And he had the sly smile.
I look forward to revisiting it. This is a classic thing where it might end up that he has 3 catches and that's the end. But
so Julio, and then by the way, he's staying like 7 minutes from the team facility. He was talking about it took him 30 minutes to move 1.5 miles the other night. They had a soccer game going on, a hockey game going on, a baseball game going on. He talked about the passion of Philly.
I wonder where
fans
he's staying. We don't need to out him, but
I think I know where he's staying. We'll get to it off camera. I don't want to out him, but I'm pretty confident I know where he's staying. Or I actually shouldn't say that. I don't know.
Sicko stuff. I have a guess too, but it would only be a temporary thing.
Okay.
And if he's here for the long haul,
Okay.
I'm not sure I have the answer, but I appreciate the derangedness of that answer.
And then, sorry, you caught me off guard there.
I think you caught him off guard. He's a little bit worried.
He considers
he may not be staying there for very much longer.
He considers A.J. Brown like a little brother to him. He went back to Alabama a few times, knows DeVonta and Jalen Hurts, knows Fletcher Cox, so has a lot of connections in the locker room.
What percentage of the roster do you think you could say with almost certainty where they live?
This is going to sound weird. I'd say probably like 60, 70%.
That's pretty good.
Okay. But it's not something I would talk about on the show. I respect their privacy.
We'll get to it.
I respect their privacy. Although we do have 5 days a week year round. So we have a lot of off-season content.
Tune in June
yes,
when we get to find out where Landon Dickerson lives.
So then the last thing I'll say before we get to our sponsors here about Julio is you'll laugh at this. I asked him about the divisional round playoff game, because he was talking about how he
course.
loves the Philly crowd, and I made a reference to that game, and he kind of looked at me like, "What year?" And I said, 2017 season, January 2018. He's like, "That was so long ago. I really don't remember much from it." So
It's kind of weird.
he probably didn't want to get into that.
It's a
one.
big game.
He didn't want to get into it, but I enjoyed engaging with Julio. Nice guy.
I'm sure he enjoyed engaging with you until he found out you know where he lives.
I don't know where he
he's
lives.
A little bit worried.
I don't know where he lives. I think I know where the players stay when they're here. Was my point.
Okay. Well, if Julio Jones is looking to maybe go undercover and not be noticed by freakazoid reporters, he might want to don a pair of sunglasses, and that's where Shady Rays comes in. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that is just as good as any expensive pair we have worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. And if you're into winter sports, their quick swap snow lenses switch easily from full sun to low light. Don't let changing light conditions slow you down on the slopes when all you need is Shady Rays snow goggles. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. That's crazy because I lose sunglasses like it's nobody's business.
Yes, you do. I know that.
Yes. You know what? My deal is usually if it's a nice pair of sunglasses, I'm probably going to lose them. If it's like a $10 pair of sunglasses I buy at the airport, I'll probably have those for like a year and a half.
Well, now you're going to get great sunglasses from Shady Rays.
Now we're talking. Well, and if I lose them, good thing I've got the loss protection. Shady Rays is also committed to making a difference in communities across the U.S. through their Impact program, teaming up with nonprofits to help people live healthy, courageous lives through some of their most challenging times. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out an amazing deal for the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
And so I'm waiting for a sunny day on the weekend here after my son's soccer game, and I'll be wearing my Shady Rays sunglasses in the car. And I'll give my son a treat after that soccer game, and I'm going to take him to his favorite card shop. You know what his favorite card shop is? Wheelhouse Cards. Wheelhouse Cards is our favorite shop in the Philly area. They carry all of your favorite collectible cards, apparel, memorabilia, and more with brands like Topps 47, Mitchell & Ness, Junk Food, and Shibe Vintage Sports. You know you can trust Wheelhouse's licensed dealers with the best community in the business. I know my son loves the Pokemon cards there. He's really getting into football cards and baseball cards and basketball cards. We saw them all at Wheelhouse Cards. We actually went to get the baseball cards, and we ended up buying Pokemon cards. And by the way, I saw some amazing Shibe Vintage Sports gear when I was there because I love old school Philly stuff and like Philadelphia stuff. And
You
they
love
had
all kinds of Philly
yeah.
stuff.
So I wear actually I have a hat that I'll bring in from a defunct Philadelphia franchise that I got from Shibe Vintage Sports. Wheelhouse hosts a ton of if you're looking to unload a unique item, they can even appraise and offer fair prices on site. Wheelhouse hosts a ton of different events like trading, birthday parties, and more. The toughest part will be deciding from the thousands of different collector's items they offer. Wheelhouse will truly be your one-stop shop for all card collecting needs. Stop into either of their locations in Wayne or Westchester. I went to the Wayne one. It's open 7 days per week. Be sure to give them a follow on Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards. I've already done that. Wheelhouse has all the Philly collectibles and gear you'll ever need. Cards and community is their slogan. Locally owned, family-friendly, family-run environment. It's open 7 days a week and has amazing service experience.
Good stuff. A few other things from yesterday, Zach, I want to ask about. First of all, Jalen Hurts talked. I know that it's not always the most explosive set of answers he's given. He wanted no time with the Tua line of conversation as expected. Is that right?
Yes, and there was a certain reporter. I don't want to give it away yet because he's working. Because I don't know if it's run yet, but he had a.
What do you mean you don't know? Of course you know.
Yeah, but there's more to it than the story. Okay,
more to it.
Yeah. And so he had to like position himself in a certain seat to ask the question as a certain way. So Jalen was looking a certain way. And Jalen was just
Interesting.
no selling it, man. Jalen did not want anything to do with this Tua storyline, which, look, I get, but I can tell you that the Eagles, and I said this on the show Tuesday, the Eagles were very impressed with how he's dealt, or with how he dealt with that when he got benched in college for Tua. And Nick Sirianni was effusive in his praise when actually this question was framed to him about like the way he deals with adversity. And Nick talked about the steadiness that he has, and certainly that helped him in the Tua thing. He said he'll catch up with Tua after the game, but it's a game week. He spoke about how he's learned from that experience and from all his experiences too.
Do you think they're friends?
Be wiser.
Do you think they communicate on the reg?
I don't think on the reg, but maybe from time to time. But I don't think on the reg. I actually think this
should have Josh Tolentino on. He's got some Tua connections.
Yeah, Josh is watching. And actually, Marcus Mariota's locker was surrounded yesterday because he knows Tua. He works with Jalen now. You know, they're both Hawaiian. Marcus Mariota and Tua. Both went to
understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a no sell on your part. I believe they went to the same
No, that's not a no sell.
I believe they went to the same high school. Marcus Mariota and Tua.
Yeah.
So, yep. So anyways.
Good point.
A lot of great or I should say great, that's an exaggeration. Some good Hawaii quarterbacks. The quarterback from Oklahoma, Gabriel, he's Hawaiian. Dylan Gabriel. If you remember Mackenzie Milton from Central Florida, he was Hawaiian. Timmy Chang.
Nick Herbig.
Yeah, but he's not a quarterback.
As far as you know.
As far as I know. But Jalen Hurts did not want to get into that angle. Actually, Jalen was all business. He's always all business.
As opposed to what?
Yeah, but there was very little that he really wanted to get into. Even like the Kelly Green, thought it was like a softball. Nah, it didn't. We're wearing them this week, and rebounding from the game. Like there was not much there that he wanted to get into. So, but it is going to be a huge storyline. This is a national TV game. Tua's the MVP frontrunner at this point in the season. Jalen Hurts is one of the most prominent players in the NFL. I mean, that storyline is going to be, if you can do your Chris Collinsworth impression, Chris Collinsworth's going to be talking about that one.
Hire my son.
This is the sense of humor that you only get from Bo.
What about the Vic Fangio aspect of this? Was Nick Sirianni as stiff army about this line of questioning as Jalen Hurts was about Tua?
No, Nick was engaging actually about it, but Nick's like, we didn't give him everything, man. He doesn't know everything.
And I saw Vic Fangio just sort of said the same thing in his press conference. That he was giving them a lot more than they were giving him.
That's what Nick said yesterday. Yes, but Vic was in the building, knows the Eagles' offensive personnel, but the Eagles know Vic Fangio well from his time here, and also Sean Desai is a direct disciple from the Vic Fangio trade.
Well, I think a lot about the thing that Desai said about that in his introductory press conference about how while there's so much around the league of teams trying to replicate the Fangio system, there's a difference between trying to see what you see on tape and replicate that versus having actually been in the building with him, thinking through the way that he solves problems, the way he thinks through trying to attack and stop defenses. And that is a much different thing than, just being Brandon Staley or whoever and trying to be sort of a copycat. And I think there's something to that.
You're absolutely right there. And he knows the way Vic thinks. He knows kind of where the keys are, where the secrets are, where everything's buried in that defense. So he could be an asset to to the offensive coaching staff this week. But Sirianni also mentioned Vic Fangio is a big Phillies fan, which we knew. And he said he hopes Vic Fangio is distracted this week. Actually, when the defensive coaches were meeting
good story by John Greenberg at The Athletic from last year.
Yeah, good piece. When the defensive coaches were meeting on Tuesday night, Sirianni was in the defensive meeting. It was right around the time that the Phillies were starting. And the defensive meeting room overlooks the practice field and Citizens Bank Park in the distance. And they heard loud cheers. They hear the fireworks erupt. They didn't know what happened. It was a Kyle Schwarber home run. So Nick Sirianni's hoping that Vic's a little distracted by watching his favorite ball club this week.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Also, real quick, too, because the Mike McDaniel offense gets a lot of attention, I asked Sirianni as an offensive mind.
I thought that was a good framing of the question by you.
Oh, thank you, Bo.
You're
I appreciate that. You know, I when I can get a compliment from you, it feels better. Like, I know it's earned, right? You know, I have this thing with my wife where, like, I tell her she's beautiful all the time, and like she says to me, you know, if there's a day when I look nice, like she'll.
How will she know?
She'll say that.
Oh,
no, she'll
you.
say it to me,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, that means so much. Thank you, because you never really say it or something like that. And then she's like, well, when I say it, I mean it. She's like, when you say it, I never know if it's So that's the thing. So I appreciate it.
Maybe you should compliment her intelligence or her compassion, something beyond just her looks.
I do that. I'm full of compliments. Trust me. Yes. Yeah. The compliment meter is like Jordan Davis compared to Britton Covey.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
Okay, well, speaking of the Phillies, Zach, if somebody was like out in Arizona and wanted to, you know, maybe check and see, I've heard the tickets are actually pretty low. You can get in the building pretty cheap for this game.
And you know where you can find that? You can find that on the Game Time app. If you're frustrated by the price of tickets in Philly, and by the way, those tickets could adjust. You can find that on the Game Time app. But maybe you fly out to Arizona, or maybe you live near Arizona and you're a loyal viewer of ours in Arizona or Nevada or California, and you're making that drive. The way to find the best tickets is the Game Time app. Buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Some of the great things about the Game Time app are the flash deals and last-minute tickets, the easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, the image of seat views, which I like because I want to know exactly how that field is going to look when I am in there. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get images of your seats before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Meanwhile, the NFL season is also going strong. Got Jaguars Saints tonight, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. Bet $5 on a game this week to score $200 instantly in bonus bets, and DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game day this October. Get in on the game day greatness. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code PHLY. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet $5 on the NFL. That's code PHLY, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles in Louisiana, 21 and older, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Good job there. Real quick, I saw a comment before from Khalif asking about comments on our stories. Right now, if you're a diehard member, you can comment on stories. I was reading Bo's story. I've gone through it a few times today, but I like to see the comments, and there were a few comments down there from the diehard members. We appreciate that. That's one of the benefits you get from being a diehard member. You get exclusive material there. You get discounts on merchandise. You get discounts on events. You get access to our Discord, which I'll get to in a bit. But if we'll find out if there's a point where comments are open up in general. But right now, you can comment on the stories if you're a diehard member.
We're going to start putting some more pieces of content just for the diehards.
Yes.
So a good reason to make the plunge.
So this is a good transition to the draft.
Okay.
Is that where we're going here?
Is this your feedback anecdote?
Yeah. So I was at the Penn State game the other day, as we discussed, sitting in the rain, and between plays,
Sitting in the rain.
I wasn't getting great connection, but when I got connection, I went onto the Discord app. Because my mind's always looking.
Of course, yeah.
And
No days off, no minutes off for Zach Berman.
And there was a spirited discussion about our weekly draft. There were people who offered suggestions for improving it. There was an idea, and I've gotten some emails about it too. And I texted you, by the way, in the Discord right now. There's good conversation about the draft, and you didn't respond to me, so I'm assuming that you just didn't care that I texted you that, and that you're like, let me enjoy my Saturday in peace, Zach. I don't need to be worried about this. Zach, you're with your wife and another couple here. Why are you on Discord right now reading this? Those are, imagine the thought bubbles that were going on in your head. But yes, I was reading that, and then I was thinking during that drive back of different ways we can do the draft. But one thing I responded in there is that the draft is a way for us to talk about the players. And as the schedule gets tougher, there's going to be more. Basically, one of the things they said is like the longtime listeners and viewers know the types of players that we like know the way this is going to go, so it becomes kind of predictable. So they thought about different strategies. But I think now that like this game here, and we're about to get to it, there's some tough decisions in this one.
Yeah, again, it's our way of framing the conversation about the different rosters, less than it is about who's going to draft a better team, because everybody knows I'm going to draft a better team.
No, that's another comment actually that came up, is that no matter what, you just say you win and you pound me in the submission, and then I'm like, fine, you win, or fine, we tie. But you're never.
And so I win. That's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. So I do want to figure out, and our commenters watching this, or you can leave comments on YouTube, or you can message me at ZBerm on Twitter, or Z_Berman on Instagram, or Zach at allphly.com.
I mean, literally anywhere you put it on the internet, Zach will find it. Put it on rateyourprofessor.com.
Yes.
For Colorado State. He will make sure to take that into account. If you leave a Yelp review at any of our sponsors, he'll probably do that.
Yep. If there's a Reddit form, I'll find it. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but if you have a good objective way for us to determine a winner.
A lot of conversation about Zach Berman on Truth Social, I believe.
I don't even know what Truth Social is, but other than Pro Football Focus scores, because Bo shot that down already.
Yeah, of course.
So we need to figure out a good way to identify the winner. But this is going to be a good game here.
Okay. You ready for rock, paper, scissors to start this bad boy off?
Sure.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. One for me, scissors over paper. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock and rock. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Paper over rock for Zach. 1-1.
Okay, hold on.
Oh my gosh.
Trying to think here. Okay.
You can't. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I stuck with rock, took out his scissors. First pick for me. I actually hadn't really thought about who I'm going to take first here, because we could get to the quarterback conversation. Not a huge difference. I think Lane Johnson would be a normal first pick, but who knows what his status is going to be. It sounds like he's going to play, but do I want to use the first pick on that? If DeVonta Smith doesn't play, do you want to take a wide receiver? I think I'm going to go. You know what? I gotta stay true to some of my principles. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown as my first pick here.
Wow. Okay.
Because I don't know that DeVonta Smith is going to play in this game. And I think that Tyreek Hill is probably a more impactful, better player right now. But I'm not gonna put my head on the pillow tonight knowing that I took Tyreek Hill first overall. So I'm taking A.J. Brown, the man who has been so fantastic. First player in Eagles history to have over 120 receiving yards in 4 straight games. Doesn't always run on those clear-out routes, but that's okay. He makes up for it. I'm taking A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown's outstanding. A.J. Brown is second in the league in receiving yards this year with 672. Do you know who the first in the league?
I do know
receiving
who the
yards
first in the league
Who
is.
is it?
Tyreek Hill.
With 814. So he has over 100 more receiving yards than any wide receiver in the league. He has 13 catches of 20-plus yards this year, tops in the league. He has no, I'm sorry, it's not tops in the league. Justin Jefferson has more. We've seen he's a game-breaking player. They're really using him well in that offense. He has 6 catches of 40-plus yards this year. He's averaging. He's just been terrific. So you go A.J. Brown, then I will gladly take Tyreek Hill with the number 2 overall pick.
This is interesting because we try to come up with these little nuggets for the guys on the different rosters. You had some for Tyreek Hill. Mine here are that. But when he was in college, he choked and punched his pregnant girlfriend and punched her in the face and the stomach. And then in 2019, was investigated for allegedly breaking the arm of his 3-year-old son, and was heard on recordings telling his then fiance, she said, "He's terrified of you," and he said, "You need to be terrified of me too," with another word after that. So I'm not in the business of celebrating Tyreek Hill. Is essentially my position here, and
okay.
I'm sorry to take the high road on you.
I have no rebuttal for what you just said. I'm simply drafting players for a fictitious game that we're playing.
As part of the NFL media landscape, we just push these things to the side. Tyreek Hill look at this backflip that he did, taking a video of himself. Like, let's not forget the things that we know about Tyreek Hill.
Okay. So NFL Next Gen stats: the fastest ball carriers this season. Okay. And this shows you what the Eagles are up against. The top 5 in the fastest ball carriers this season are all Miami Dolphins. Now, 2 of those this year were from DeVonta Smith, who is not playing in this game. But Tyreek Hill is first with 22 miles per hour. He's 4th at 21.66 miles per hour. So this is the type of speed that is going to be really tough for teams. So it's going to be really tough for the Eagles defense. So I'm going Tyreek Hill here just for this game. I'm not advocating anything else, just for this game here. And then the other thing here too is the Lane Johnson question.
You have to be like, just think about what level of I don't want that guy in my building you have to be for Andy Reid to trade you away.
Okay. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but for the fictitious game that we're playing here, I am taking the leading receiver in the NFL with my second pick.
Okay, you get another pick.
So Lane Johnson here is the pick that I would like to make if he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to play, but the fact that Brian Baldinger said that on our show the other day, he said it on PHLY on Tuesday. And there is, I don't like the Miami Dolphins offensive line, or at least their tackles without Teron Armstead there. So I am going to go with Lane Johnson as my right tackle.
Wow, ballsy. Mm-hmm. Playing on a gimpy ankle?
Whew, he's still Lane Johnson.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to take Jalen Waddle. I want to make sure that I get 2 of the receivers in case DeVonta Smith doesn't play. Jalen Waddle is awesome. The only player in this game whose last name is a verb for penguin. I think about that draft, and this goes to the Kyle Pitts conversation that we had and your love for Kyle Pitts and your maintenance that he's still going to be good one day. I mean, they took Kyle Pitts as the first non-quarterback in the draft.
Yes.
And think about how good that draft was. Micah Parsons, Jamar Chase, Patrick Surtain, Penei Sewell, Jalen Waddle, DeVonta Smith, all guys who were like these. It is a little bit surprising that they're all pros, but not surprising that they are all extremely good. And that pick was insane, I think. How do you think that draft would go redo, just the top 5? I think it would go Trevor Lawrence 1, Micah Parsons 2.
Yes.
Probably Chase 3.
Probably. So Sewell.
Probably Surtain and then Sewell, I think. And then it's like Waddle or Devontae or Rashawn Slater.
Do you think
Slater
Surtain goes
6?
over Sewell?
I think so.
Okay. And we're not thinking teams. We're just thinking best players.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. I think Sewell would go above Surtain.
I think that's possible.
And then I don't think Pitts would be as far down as you think. Pitts is going to be awesome. Pitts is going to be a game-changing player. Pitts was a game-changing player as a rookie. Okay,
No,
he
wasn't.
dealt with an injury last year.
He was fine as a rookie.
He was really effing good as a rookie, and he's going to continue on this trajectory. You're starting to see glimpses of it. He got in the end zone last week, I believe.
Wow, what a great job by him.
Why are you so anti Kyle Pitts? What is Kyle Pitts?
I'm not anti Kyle Pitts. I just you can't keep puffing your chest out when it was an obviously bad pick.
Yeah.
Not only a bad pick relative to the options they could have had, but a bad pick because they don't use him.
Well, that's your problem, Arthur Smith. I mean, yes, the Arthur Smith doppelganger. That's what's referenced to. So I probably should have gone Jalen
Would you rather
Waddle.
have Jalen Waddle or DeVonta Smith if DeVonta was healthy?
DeVonta Smith.
Okay.
But it's up there because speed is, in that Miami offense, the Waddle speed is special. And Waddle's an incredible player. But when you have him and Hill together with Mostert, with A-Chain, I would rather Waddle in that offense. But I think Smith in this offense is really good. There's a risk here in me going DeVonta because if Lane doesn't play and DeVonta doesn't play, I'm set back. But if DeVonta does play and you have AJ, Jalen Waddle, and DeVonta Smith, then I'm in trouble there.
That's true.
So I think that, scared money don't make money. Have you heard that expression?
I have.
Okay. So I want to go with DeVonta Smith here, but you know what? I'm gonna build this offensive lineup. Okay. And I am gonna go with Jason Kelce.
Okay.
As my starting center. So now I got Lane and Kelce. I need to give my quarterback time, whichever quarterback I have, because both these pass rushes are really good, and I don't like Miami's offensive line.
Okay, I think that's fair. I will respond. I don't want to let you totally outflank me on the offensive line. I don't like to make a defensive pick here, but I'm going to take Jordan Mailata just to get it.
Okay.
Somebody on the offensive line.
Okay. So then now is the time for me to take. You know what? I'm going to take Dallas Goedert. So I know that I have the passing threat. I don't know yet about DeVonta's status, but Dallas Goedert and Tyreek Hill gives me a good combination there.
Okay. I am going to take the best defensive player in the game. And you can make a case for a few people, but I think the answer is if he's healthy, I'm taking Jalen Carter. I think that's how good he is. You can make a case for Josh Sweat. You can make a case for Hassan Reddick. Christian Wilkins is pretty good, but I'm going to take Jalen Carter and try to get to the quarterback right away.
Okay, and now he's going up against Jason Kelce. And by the way, if Jason Kelce could switch places with any player on the team, he would switch places with
Jalen Carter.
Because
we'll have to read the story on all PHLY to find out.
How about that for a tease? Now I'm going DeVonta Smith. Because
that's pretty smart.
Yeah, so now I got Tyreek Hill, DeVonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert with Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce. I'm usually a big defense guy, more so than Bo, but I think this game this week's all about the offenses, and it's going to be a can you keep pace game.
Or it's a can you limit possessions game, and this is a game in which the Eagles lean heavily into the run game, right? And not as a way of like winning time of possession, but rather limiting the number of possessions in the game. And I think they do have a chance to run on this Dolphins defense for sure. I don't think that they want to get into a situation in this game like they did, like you were talking about, so the Dolphins are down these corners. I don't think they want to be in a situation they were like last week where they're trying to hunt the mismatches on the outside. I think they want to be able to lean on this team.
Yes, I agree with you.
Okay. I am going to take Josh Sweat, the best edge rusher in the game.
Okay.
The most well-rounded edge rusher in the game. And give me Josh Sweat and Jalen Carter, and you don't have anybody on defense. I'm feeling pretty good.
So now I need to be reactive to you. I like to be proactive, but they're actually I have 5 edge rushers here on my list that I really like, and that shows you how these two teams are built. I think Greer and Miami's done a good job building this roster. I like some of the moves that they've made here, especially getting these edge rushers. But I'm going with Hassan Reddick, who's been scorching hot recently. Hassan Reddick, sacks come in waves.
The surfer, yeah.
That's what Bo is referring to. Hassan Reddick has sacks in 3 consecutive games. He now has more sacks through 6 games this season than he had last season when he finished with 16 sacks in the regular season. So ever since that cast came off, Hassan Reddick has been hot. And in real life, not in this game, going up against what's it going to be? Kendall Lamb, I believe it is. Maybe he'll be going up against Austin Jackson. He'll be going up against the right tackle, Austin Jackson. I like that matchup for the Eagles this week, and that's going to be one we get into tomorrow.
I think that's pretty fair. I'm going to take what I think is the biggest delta available, and that is Dolphins safety Javon Holland, who is one of the best safeties in the league. Obviously, we know that the Eagles have some issues this week with who knows about Reed Blankenship? Less than 50% likely to play, I would say. Sidney Brown potentially making his first start at safety. Let me ask you this, Zach. If Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown are both able to play, would you consider letting Sidney Brown be the nickel?
Yes.
And playing Blankenship and Edmonds at safety?
I would, as opposed to Josiah Scott in there. The only thing is if you want more speed on the field. If you feel like Josiah Scott speed gives you more than Edmonds, but I think that I would go with Brown in the slot, and I would go with Edmonds and Blankenship at safety.
What a tough job for Josiah Scott if he has to play nickel in this game, just get thrown into the mix, and all of a sudden he's got to cover Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
So, yes, we actually didn't get to it. The Eagles brought Josiah Scott back because of his experience, because he's played games for them. He had an interception in that Saints game last year. So that's what jumps out to me. All
right. So I take Javon Holland, who is awesome and the best player in the secondary for the Dolphins.
Okay.
And I got to say a good call in the pre-draft process by Fran Duffy. A Fran Duffy favorite.
Well done. Out of Oregon, Canadian.
There you go.
Yeah, 2 Canadian safeties in this game.
Nice.
No, sell that one too.
Two Canadian safeties.
Yes. So then I'm gonna go with Landon Dickerson. I'm gonna keep building my offensive line here. I know Miami's strength on their offensive line is probably their guards more so than their tackles after Armstead's injury. But I have Lane, Dickerson, and Kelsey. They're top on my list at each position. I feel like that gives me a good offensive line infrastructure.
Okay, this is interesting because now that I know I'm not going to have a better offensive line than you, I am going to take Tua Tagovailoa as my quarterback because we know that he can get rid of the ball quickly. And he is playing right now at a higher level than Jalen Hurts. There's no doubt about it. If we were talking about who would you rather have for the rest of their career, I think you definitely take Jalen Hurts because there are so many questions about Tua long term. But for one game on Sunday, Tua Tagovailoa right now leads the NFL in EPA per dropback. He leads it in success rate. He's number 2 in completion percentage. He's number 1 in yards per attempt. And he's doing it all while getting rid of the ball quicker than anybody in the league. And it's not just this season. He's always been good at getting rid of the ball very quickly. His numbers this year, as I said, he leads those categories in EPA per dropback. It's the second best mark for any quarterback over the last 6 years to Lamar Jackson in 2019. In success rate, it's second only to Josh Allen in 2020. In yards per attempt, it's third to Ryan Fitzpatrick and Ryan Tannehill in a couple offenses when they were not asked to throw the ball very often. In completion percentage, it's fourth to the Allen one I talked about and both 2 Drew Brees seasons. In time to throw, it's only slower than the last 2 Ben Roethlisberger seasons when he was just catching the ball and playing hot potato. The way that he plays, the way that he is so accurate, and obviously a lot of this is in some degree the making of the offense and the wide receivers that he has. But right now, for one game, yes, I would rather have Tua, and knowing that I have an offensive line where he's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly, I feel good about that.
Yeah, Tua 2.37 seconds in terms of getting rid of the ball there. Next on the list is Trevor Lawrence at 2.46 seconds. So you see the delta there That says something about Tua. That's a good one there.
Now, as you think about your next pick, Zach, let me tell you about FOCO, because FOCO is a leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, and more. Best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. It's football and tailgating season. Overalls, hoodies, hats, sunglasses, bags, everything you need for a game. FOCO has hooked PHLY up and provided awesome pieces for our sets. FOCO also has our back for Philly sports, and they have yours too. Get the best gear around by using the link in our description. For all non-presale items, use the promo code PHLY for 10% off.
So if you are going with, you took Jalen Carter already, so I'm going to take Christian Wilkins, who's been a high-level player for the Dolphins. I actually thought the Eagles were going to draft him in the Andre Dillard draft, so the 2019 draft. Christian Wilkins was like a steady player early in his career, but he's come on in recent years. He's playing well this season, and this is someone who is going to command attention from the Eagles' interior offensive line.
Okay. I will take Darius Slay. I thought about maybe going Bradbury over him, but given the situation with the Dolphins corners and expecting that Darius Slay is going to play, I'm going to take him.
I'm going to come right back and take Bradbury. He's the healthy corner here. We don't know about Xavier Howard, but I do want to have a Bradbury conversation with you real quick. Bradbury has been at his best against kind of these bigger receivers. How do you think he'll fare against these speed receivers? Because that hasn't necessarily been his game.
I think it's a concern. Yeah, and I think it's why you wouldn't put him in the slot necessarily in this game. You know, I think it's not a great matchup for him. So it's all part of, like, the specific matchup on defense for the Eagles. This Dolphins offense is designed to pick them apart where they are weak. That is the middle of the field, and that is speed on the outside, right? Like Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow and Terrell Edmonds in the middle of the field where the Dolphins throw the ball so often is such a recipe for disaster. And the fact that they get rid of the ball so quickly negates the power of the pass rush. So it's going to be a real... I mean, it's obvious to say it's the best offense in football, but like what a difficult test this is going to be for Sean Desai. And I do think, you know, the conversation that we have sometimes about Desai versus Gannon, what can you do against the best quarterbacks? I think you want to invite some variance. I don't think you want to play this game of like, let's see if they can drive the ball downfield. I think you want to see if you can force a couple turnovers. And I'm curious to see what kind of little designs, little disguises and stuff you might have cooked up.
Well said. The pre-snap is going to be so important just to try to get Tua to hold the ball a tick longer.
That's right. Okay, you took Bradbury, so I am going to go ahead and take... I mean, that's not really a good pick. Let me take... Yada, yada, yada. I'm going to take Fletcher Cox as my second defensive tackle. Came back last week. Wasn't quite as dominant as he was the first 4 games of the season. Could think about Jordan Davis here, but I'm going to take Fletcher Cox.
I'll take Xavier Howard, who's the top corner on Miami. He's kind of been up and down this year, but he's been really good in the past. And like we said, the next starting corner on Miami is Eli Apple, who's been a journeyman at this point in his career. Local guy, though, right across the bridge that way.
Nice job.
Yes, Camden, or Eastern Regional High School, I should say. So I'm going with now. I have Bradbury and Howard. I like that combination, but I have too many guys who have injury questions. But when this graphic pops up in like an hour or two, my roster is going to have more name appeal going into the game.
Mm-hmm. All right, give me, now that we're looking at this, now Connor Williams is on the injured list as well, so I don't necessarily want to take him.
Look at Liam Eichenberg, who's the backup there.
Yeah, no thanks.
Not a Liam Eichenberg guy?
I am not.
Okay.
So I will take Robert Hunt, the former second-round pick of the Dolphins, who was their starting right guard. That draft that they had, the Tua draft, when they had 5 picks in the first 2 rounds, not very good.
Not very good at all.
Not very good. Now, Austin Jackson, who is also not that good, but was part of that draft. They go Austin Jackson, then Noah Igbenogany, and then Robert Hunt.
Great pronunciation.
Thank you. And then who was the last one? Raekwon Davis
Okay.
was the last, and he is just a nose with no pass rush upside. So a missed opportunity for them there. Not, that was the same Rager draft, so that's not. They picked Austin Jackson 2 picks before Rager, so there was a bit of a drought there until the Justin Jefferson pick. But I think as much as you say they've built a nice roster, I think there have been some missed opportunities.
Yeah. Now they had assets there for sure. The edge rushers here. This is tough for me because the edge rusher that I like the most on this team doesn't really have prolific pass rush production this season. But man, what a freak coming out of Miami he was, and he played at UCLA for Chip Kelly too for a bit. Or actually, I don't know if Chip was there, but he played at UCLA for a bit. 8.5 sacks, 7 sacks last season. That's Jalen Phillips. But the other one that I like is Bradley Chubb too, who they traded a lot for last season. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go with Jalen Phillips as my other edge rusher here. Now I got Hassan Reddick and Jalen Phillips, which I like that combination.
So they told a funny story on the New Heights podcast about Jalen Phillips talking smack to Jason Kelce during one of the joint practices because Kelce wasn't practicing and he was still talking smack.
I got to listen back to that. I haven't listened to that one yet.
Kelce was giving Phillips credit for that. Okay. In this case, I'm going to keep pounding the offensive line, I guess, and I'm going to take Sua Opeta, making my left guard.
I wasn't even going to take Sua, so okay.
There you go.
Yeah, you love yourself some Sua.
He's a good player.
Mm-hmm. So then I am on the board here now, and you know what? There's Chubb and there's Van Ginkel. And I'm going to go with Bradley Chubb here. I'm going to have 3 edge rushers. I really like that, and I'm boxing you in at edge rushers. I really value the edge rusher spot.
Bradley Chubb has been bad this year.
Okay.
67th of 113 pass rushers in quarterback hit rate. Not very good against the run. I think that was a bad trade for them. Andrew Van Ginkel, meanwhile, much more productive. He's like a souped-up Dennis Gardeck. He's 13th of the 113 pass rushers in quarterback hit rate. I'm happy to have him on my team if I need him. I may take Brandon Graham, but I don't need to take anybody now. I feel like the Chubb pick is
more name.
That's a classic guy who was drafted at the top, and not necessarily playing to that level.
You strike me as a Van Ginkel guy, anyways. So
yeah, I think I called for the Eagles to sign him when he was a free agent.
Yeah, you're a big Van Ginkel guy.
I don't know what that means, but I'm happy to wear it.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and take, there's not a lot of spots left where you need a guy, but I'm going to take David Long as the linebacker. One of those classic, like, football film grinder hipsters love themselves some David Long. I don't have anything trenchant to say about him other than that people like him.
You fit in that category.
I don't.
Yes. That was a good signing. So then I will go with another interior defensive lineman because you've taken 2. You can still add 1 more, correct?
True.
So then it's between Jordan Davis and Milton Williams. And you're in my head about Milton Williams because you said that I usually take Jordan Davis over him. But actually, you know what? I'm going to go Jordan Davis. I like the way Jordan Davis played last week.
He was very good last week.
I want some more size on my line because I have these 3 edge rushers. So give me some thump in the middle there.
Oh, I'll give you some thump in the middle. All right.
I don't know what that means.
Nor do I.
Okay.
I'm gonna box you out, and I'm gonna take Jerome Baker as my second linebacker. So
You're taking 2 linebackers.
I'm taking 2 linebackers.
Okay.
I think Jerome Baker is pretty good.
Okay.
And now you're going to have to play an Eagles linebacker in the middle of your defense.
So real quick, do you think they play Nicholas Morrow this week more because of the speed compared to Nakobe?
I hope not for the sake of Nakobe Dean's career. Like, don't you think that would be a terrible sign?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a great sign.
It's not like Nicholas Morrow is Devon Allen.
He's got more speed.
A little bit.
He's faster. He's faster. By the way, Patrick Johnson said in your piece today he's faster than Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, but they're all going to say that.
They're all going to say that, of course. There's time, speed to
the Christian Ellis Nakobe Dean line was very funny because he was so impressed with himself for coming up with the shot on Nakobe Dean's height. Like after I walked away, he was like, "Do you hear what I said? It was really good."
Yeah, height jokes.
Yeah,
Never go out of style,
your
right?
favorite. Yeah.
Never go out of style. So the next safety
You want to
then.
go speed round here?
Yeah, I'll go Deshaun Elliott, who's been playing well this year, who I liked him in free agency coming out a few years ago, went to Detroit. I liked him when he was with Baltimore, was with Detroit last year, and now with Miami. He's been playing better this season, so I'll go Deshaun Elliott at safety.
Okay. I will go ahead and I guess I'll take Austin Jackson as my right tackle.
And of course, I end up then with Kendall Lamb at. Let's see. The competitive position here is running back. Do you go Swift or do you go Mostert? Mostert's been really good this year, but I'm going to go DeAndre Swift. I think he's the better running back, and I know you're a big Mostert guy anyway, so I'd rather give him to you.
Raheem Mostert on pace to have the most prolific rushing season of the past decade for a player 31 years or over. He's on pace for over 1,200 yards. The only 3 guys who have rushed for over 1,000 yards are Frank Gore twice and Adrian Peterson once. Zach, I'm ready to. Are you ready to hear some fun names from the past?
Oh, I always love fun names from the past.
Raheem Mostert, of course, in training camp, entered the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2015 and made it on the practice squad until he was signed to the Dolphins active roster. These are the names who were on the initial Week 1 practice squad with Raheem Mostert for the Eagles. Brett Boyko.
Yep, UNLV.
Oh, who was the Penn State one? That was a different guy?
It's a different guy. Brett Boyko's UNLV, I believe.
Malcolm Bunch.
Yep, he's from Delaware. He went to Miami. Stoutland guy.
I thought he was a UCLA guy. He was Miami?
He finished up in Miami.
Okay. Randall Evans.
Yeah, Kansas State.
Draft pick from Kansas State. Freddie Martino.
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
Wide receiver.
Yep.
Brian Mahalik.
Mm-hmm.
Draft pick from Boston College.
Yep.
Chris Pantali, I believe the only other player on this group who ended up carving out an NFL career.
Tight end from BC, North Jersey.
Karan Pratt.
Wide receiver from Rutgers, I believe.
Ed Reynolds.
Oh, of course I know Ed Reynolds. Safety from Stanford, by way of Central Virginia.
And finally, Deontay Skinner.
Deontay Skinner. He was a linebacker, edge.
I think he was a linebacker.
Linebacker. Yep.
Now, these are the, just for the record, the people who made it onto the roster over Raheem Mostert, who you might think, the Eagles might want this one back.
Sure.
Kenyon Barner, Miles Austin, Seyi Ajira Tutu, Brandon Bayer, Brad Jones, EJ Biggers, Denzel Rice, Jerome Couplin.
Yeah, not a great year that's a forgettable year.
What a career for Raheem Mostert.
Well done. Agreed.
All right, I'm going to go ahead. I guess there's not a ton left here.
Yeah, I'm fine filling this out.
Okay.
My other
I'm
guard.
going to take Sidney Brown at safety just to have him, since you could have taken a safety. So we can fill it out from there.
Okay. So then,
who's your left tackle? Kendall Lamb?
Yeah, I had no choice but to go Kendall Lamb unless I went
Fred Johnson.
Yeah, I'll go Kendall.
Who's your right guard?
I'll have Isaiah Wynn and I'll move him over.
Okay. I guess I'll take. I guess I have to take Connor Williams at center because it's not like I can take Cam Jurgens or something like that.
Or you can take Liam Meikenberg.
I'm not taking Liam Meikenberg.
You're really anti-Liam Meikenberg.
Which Eagles linebacker are you taking?
I'll go Nakobe Dean.
Okay. Which safety?
By the way, I could go Duke Riley. You know that, but
I can still. I still
Channing Tindall.
need to take a safety or a corner, so I'm going to take Eli Apple.
Okay. I need a nickel.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll go with Cater Kohu.
Cater Kohu, the only player in the AFC whose initials are KK.
That's the type of insight you can only get on the PHLY Eagles podcast.
But there are 3 in the NFC. Cole Kieft, Q Kelly, and Keith Kirkwood. And who's your safety?
I'm still getting over that wonderful stat there. I guess Reed Blankenship.
Roll the dice with Reed Blankenship?
Yeah, I'll roll the dice.
You love the injured guys.
Yes.
All right, I will take Raheem Mostert as my running back. I will take Durham Smythe as my tight end. Durham Smythe, one of the only 2 tight ends in the NFL who is in the top 20 in terms of percentage of snaps played, but is targeted less than 10% of the time.
He's an extra offensive lineman.
He is basically an extra offensive lineman.
He's a Jack Stoll. Yeah.
Helps my offensive line. I'm going to take Braxton Berrios as my slot receiver. You didn't take a slot receiver, actually.
I took 3 receivers. Didn't I? Oh, I did not.
No, you did not.
Okay, that's right.
You want Olamide or Cedric Wilson?
I want Julio Jones.
No. Okay, great.
I want name appeal, man.
Yeah, you are all about the name appeal. I'm going to take I guess I'm going to take Van Ginkel. I could have taken Milton Williams or Brandon Graham there, but why not roll the dice?
You love a Van Ginkel.
I do love a Van Ginkel. And then I'm going to take, I guess, Josh Jobe as my other corner. So quickly to run it down. Your offense: Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, Tyreek Hill, DeVonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Julio Jones, Kendall Lamb, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, Isaiah Wynn, Lane Johnson, against my defense of Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, Andrew Van Ginkel, David Long, Darius Slay, Eli Apple, Javon Holland, Sidney Brown, Josh Jobe, and Jerome Baker. My offense: Tua Tagovailoa, the best quarterback in the NFL this year, Raheem Mostert, A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Durham Smythe, Braxton Berrios, Jordan Mailata, Sua Opeta, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, and Austin Jackson, against your defense of Jalen Phillips, Jordan Davis, Christian Wilkins, Hassan Reddick, Nakobe Dean, James Bradbury, Xavier Howard, Reed Blankenship, Deshaun Elliott, Cater Kahoo, and Bradley Chubb.
I think I'm going to win.
What a ride.
I think I'm going to win.
Honestly, if you are willing to fight for it, you've got a good chance. But you gotta pound the table for it.
We got to see what happens in this game. We will have that graphic up later. And also, if you have any insight on how we can determine a winner, don't email Bo. You can email me.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Put it on Rate My Professor. And
I don't think I'm on Rate My Professor, but if any of my CSU students are watching this and you want to put a Rate My Professor, I would, feel free. Do they still have that website, Bree? Do you know? They still have that. Okay, Bree's the younger one in the group among the three of us. So back when I was in college, I used to always look up the Rate My Professor.
I'm sure you did.
Yes.
And just for the record, once again, Bree keeping the hat game strong today with the blue Phillies hat. Yep. So we will be back tomorrow for the final show of the week at 2:30 in the afternoon, right here from Studio B. Make sure that you are reading the content on allphly.com. Check out the other videos we've got up there. Brian Baldinger with the Lane Johnson news from earlier in the week, the reaction to the Julio Jones signing, that emergency pod from the familiar confines of our respective home, quote-unquote, studios. And make sure you're following Zach for all the latest news and notes on Twitter. So for Zach and Bree, we thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We will talk to you later this week. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.